Minister, last year we went to a lot of trouble to shut down tax avoidance by vulture funds, and the then Minister Noonan stated clearly that the funds were using the loophole called Section 110 in a way that was not intended. And critically, the vulture funds were using Section 110 to avoid paying taxes on profits generated in the Irish economy. Now, this week, Minister, we have new revelations that other investment funds are using Section 110 to avoid paying taxes on Irish profits, that they are doing so with the full blessing of your government, or at least Minister Noonan when he was in situ, and that they are working directly with the state via the Ireland Strategic Investment Fund. So not only, Minister, is public money being used in a tax avoidance scheme, so too potentially is money from the European Investment Bank. In response to PQs by Deputy Michael McGrath, your government has admitted that the Ireland Strategic Investment Fund is availing of 4 Section 110 companies. Now, journalist Jack Horgan-Jones has obtained the accounts for 2 of these companies and reported on the same in the Sunday Business Post. And earlier this week, we received copies of those accounts. The first company is called WLR Cardinal Mezzanine Finance. Now, WLR is for Wilbur Ross, the current US Commerce Secretary. It's a new investment fund in Ireland with €70 million in assets, and its notes are listed on the Cayman Islands Stock Exchange for obvious reasons. In 2015, it took in €3 million from its activities, and it paid €250 in tax. The second company is called Blue Bay Ireland. Now, Blue Bay has €160 million loaned out. Between 2015 and 2016, it took in €36 million, and each year it paid €250 in tax. Now, both of these funds, Minister, are making their profits from the domestic economy: real estate, renewable energy, forestry, restaurants, televisions, and so on. And both of these funds are able to get their profits out of the country completely tax-free, other than a notional payment of €250. Now, I am aware of no other country on earth that allows investors make money on the domestic economy and then export those profits tax-free out of the country. I'm not aware of any other country on earth that allows that to happen. And my understanding, Minister, from the work we did on the vulture funds was that this type of thing was going to be stamped out, that if you made profit on domestic activity, that you would pay taxes here. And so my questions, Minister, are as follows. Are you aware that no other European country tolerates tax avoidance of this kind? Does your government stand over this practice? Does your government stand over the Irish state investing money from the European Investment Bank in this way? And if not, will you, as a matter of urgency, initiate a full independent review of the use of Section 110 companies in Ireland? And will you commit to this House that profits made in the domestic economy in Ireland will be taxed in Ireland? Thank you.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Deputy Donnelly for raising this issue. The position is that every year in the Finance Bill we review tax avoidance, and as long as I'm here, and I'm here a long number of years, we've seen each year loopholes being closed where they are being abused or exploited in a way that was never intended. In all cases, initiatives in the tax code, and I've seen them in many years, are designed by politicians with the best of intentions, but others employ armies of accountants to find ways of using them for other purposes. And every year you have to deal with that. And we've given the revenue very strong powers, not only to pursue abuses, but to require those who are designing schemes that might be anticipating abuses are under, if you like, threat as well. So we do have a very strong code in this respect. In terms of our international position, we are taking a leading role, as you know, in the base avoidance and profit shifting initiative of the OECD. And we have moved ahead of the posse to deal with issues that in our tax code could be construed as being abuses in the international arena. And we've moved very rapidly to do that. And that is absolutely right. We need to ensure that this process is done properly, that we do not have unintentional avoidance or abuse of provisions where countries where companies play one country off against another, and we're very committed to that process. In terms of the ISIF, I mean, they have obviously a dual role, one to earn money and secondly to be a developmental role. But they don't have a responsibility for revenue issues. But what I can assure you is that I will ask the Minister for Finance to examine in precisely the issues you raise, and if there are areas where there is need for initiative, I have absolute confidence that he will take those initiatives in the appropriate manner.
Thank you for your response, Minister, and I appreciate your response and your acknowledgement that this could be seen as an abuse and that we must always look at how the tax code is being used. The problem is this: I've seen the responses from the Ireland Strategic Investment Fund to Jack Horgan-Jones, and we have on the record the response from then Minister Noonan to Deputy Michael McGrath. And both Minister Noonan and ISIF are maintaining that the current use of these Section 110 companies is absolutely legitimate. That's why we want an independent investigation, because the government stated position, and maybe it has changed with Minister Donoghue coming in, but as of February, in response to Michael McGrath, the government's stated position is that the Section 110 companies are being used properly. ICE have stated to Jack Horgan-Jones just a few days ago that as far as they're concerned, they are being used properly as well. As far as I am concerned, and Fianna Fáil is concerned, and everyone who is involved in the Vulture Fund tax loopholes is concerned, this is an improper use and it needs to be shut down. So, Minister, I appreciate that you'll take this to Paschal Donoghue, but what we're asking is that you go further. What we're asking is that your government commits to a full independent review of the use of Section 110s in the Irish economy, number one, and number two, that your government will commit to the House that as a policy principle, profits generated in the Irish economy must be taxed in the Irish economy as they are in every other country on earth. Thank you.
Minister.
Well, first of all, I have a very strong view that we should use our revenue to make sure that everyone pays their fair share of tax, and I think that has always been the case. This government and indeed predecessors have dramatically reformed revenue, and I remember when our revenue system was leaking, and even people were sneaking regarders for the sort of abuses that were there. That has been entirely changed. There is a very strong culture of compliance enforced properly by the revenue commissioners. But to suggest that we need an independent investigation is something that you would need to put to the Minister for Finance, because in my view and in my considerable experience in this House, the revenue commissioners are the most effective at identifying abuses of this nature and identifying the way in which they can resolve them, and every year they come forward with closing down of areas where there's abuse. And I think the idea that we need to have someone overseeing our revenue commissioner or having some independent assessment doesn't strike me as in accordance with the approach we have taken. So, I think by all means present your case politically to the Minister for Finance of what changes you want to see or what study of these cases. But I have a strong confidence that we have the competence within the revenue to deal with any such abuses and to develop our tax policy in accordance with the highest international standards.